Hello, my friends. Today we will be continuing Genesis in this Bible reading series. Let's begin. Genesis chapter 17. And when Abraham was 99 years old, the Lord appeared to Abraham and said unto him, I am the Almighty God. Walk before me, and be thou perfect. Which in this context means upright or sincere. And I will make my covenant between me and thee, and will multiply thee exceedingly. Basically means make him rich. And Abraham fell on his face, and God talked with him, saying, As for me, behold, my covenant is with thee, and thou shalt be a father of many nations. Neither shall thy name any more be called Abraham. Oh, but thy name shall be called Abraham. Okay, so his name was Abram, but he changed it to Abraham. For a father of many nations have I made thee, and I will make thee exceedingly fruitful, and I will make nations of thee, and kings shall come out of thee, and I will establish my covenant between me and thee and thy seed after thee after thee in their generation for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto thee, and to thy seed after thee. And I will give unto thee and thy seed after thee the land wherein thou art a stranger, all the land of Canaan, for an everlasting possession, and I will be their God. And God said unto Abraham, Thou shalt keep my covenant, therefore thou and thy seed after thee in their generations. This is my covenant, which ye shall keep, between me and you and thy seed after thee. Every man-child among you shall be circumcised, and ye shall circumcise the flesh of your foreskin, and it shall be a token of the covenant between me and you. And he said that 8 days old shall be circumcised among you, every man-child in your generation, he that is born in the house or bought with money of any stranger, which is not of thy seed. He that is born in thy house, and he that is bought with thy money must need be circumcised, and my covenant shall be within your flesh for an everlasting covenant. And the uncircumcised man, child whose flesh of his foreskin is not circumcised, that soul shall be cut off from his people. He hath broken my covenant. And God said unto Abraham, As for Sarah thy wife, thou shalt not call her name, Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And Sarah meaning princess. And I shall bless her, and give thee a son also of her. Yea, I will bless her, and she shall be a mother of nations. Kings of people shall be of her. And Abraham fell upon his face, and laughed, and said unto his heart, Shall a child be born unto him that is 100 years old? And shall Sarah that is 90 years old bear? And Abraham said unto God, O that Ishmael might live before thee. And God said, Sarah, thy wife shall bear thee a son indeed, and thou shalt call his name Isaac. And I will establish my covenant with him for an everlasting covenant, and with his seed after him. And as for Ishmael, who would be the son of the maid that Abraham got pregnant, I have heard thee. Behold, I have blessed him, and I will make him fruitful, and will multiply him exceedingly. 20 princes shall be begot, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Isaac, which Sarah shall bear unto thee at the set time in the next year. And he left off talking with him, and God went up from Abraham. And Abraham took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and all that were bought with his money, every male among the men of Abraham's house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin in the very same day, and as God had said unto him. And Abraham was 99 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And Ishmael his son was 13 years old when he was circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin. And the same day was Abraham circumcised, and Ishmael his son. and the men of his house, born in the house, and bought with money of the strangers, were circumcised with him. Genesis chapter 18. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre, and he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day, him being, I think Abraham. And he lifted up his eyes and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself to the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, from thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourself under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on, for therefore are ye come to your servants. And they said, So do, as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened unto the tent unto Sarah, and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran unto the herd, and fetched a calf tender and good, and gave it unto a young man, and he hastened to dress it, basically butcher it. And he took butter and milk, and a calf which he had dressed, and set it before them, and he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And they said unto him, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee, according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door which was behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old and well stricken with age, and it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of woman. Basically, that means that she thought she could no longer have any kids. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord being old also? And the Lord said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, Shall I of a certainty bear a child, which I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed I will return unto thee, according to the time of life, and Sarah shall have a son. Then Sarah denied, saying, I laugh not, for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. And the men rose up at once, and looked toward Sodom. And Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that things which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, and he will command his children that his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken of him. And the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because of their sin is very grievous, I shall go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thee, and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord. And Abraham drew near, and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous and with the wicked? Suppose there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous and are therein? That be far from thee to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. That be far from thee. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all their place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Suppose there say lack of 5 of the 50 righteous, wilt thou destroy the city for lack of 5? Basically, there are 45. And he said, If I find 45, I will not destroy it. And he spake unto him yet again, and said, Suppose there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it if of 40's sake. And he said unto him, Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I shall speak. Suppose there are 30 found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30. And he said, Behold, I have taken it upon me to speak of word of the Lord. Suppose that there are 20 there. And he said, I will not destroy it if there are 20. And he said, Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak ye but this once, basically one more time. Suppose 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it if there are 10. And the Lord went his way. As soon as he left communing with Abraham, Abraham returned to his place. Now this is interesting because obviously God knows everything, and he knew that there weren't even 10 people, 10 righteous people in the city. Yet he continued to answer Abraham, and in the Bible there are numerous examples of God acting as if he didn't know. Like back in like video 1, when I spoke about Adam and Eve, he asked where Adam was. Obviously God knew, but he did it so Adam reacted. In this case, he did it so Abraham reacts, because Abraham continued to ask. And you have to understand, this is a more realistic setting. Keep in mind, Abraham is like, no, don't destroy the city. What if I find 50 people? And the Lord said, without hesitation, okay, if you find 50 people, I won't destroy it. And you know what Abraham was thinking in the back of his mind? Probably hearing news and rumors from Sodom and Gomorrah, thinking, oh, I probably won't be able to find 50. And then he kept thinking, like, I'm not going to be able to find this many. So what if I can just find 10? What if there are just 10? And even then, the Lord said, okay, if you can find 10, then I won't do it, which he knew he wouldn't. And this happens numerous times in the Bible when I can't remember who it was, I think David, when God told, or was it Abraham? No, it was Abraham. When God tells Abraham later to kill his son, God knew that he would stop him, but he had him do it anyway for his own, to keep, for the benefit of the people. Same thing with, in Egypt later. He knew Ramsey was not going to let Moses' people go that easily, but he had to let it continue for the sake of the people, because even though God can see the future, we can't. We have to experience it. So I just found it interesting, because I know some people have been kind of confused, saying, if God is omniscient, why does he ask these questions? He does it because even though he's outside time, we still have to play out time. Alright, continue. Genesis chapter 19. And there came 2 angels to Sodom at even, and Lot, remember Lot, he's still there with his wife and kids, and Lot sat in the gate of Sodom, and Lot, seeing them, rose up to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face towards the ground. And he said, Behold now, my lords, turn in, I pray you, into your servant's house, and tarry all night, and wash your feet, and ye shall rise up early, and go on your ways. And they said, Nay, but we will abide in the streets all night. And he pressed upon them greatly. And they turned unto him, and entered his house, and he made them a feast, and did bake unleavened bread, and they did eat. But before they lay down, the men of the city, even the men of Sodom, compassed the house round, both old and young, all the people of every quarter. And they said unto Lot, and said unto him, Where are the men which came into thee this night? Bring them out to us, that they may know, that we may know them. And Lot went out at the door unto them, and shut the door after them, and said, I pray you, brethren, do not be so wicked. Behold now, I have 2 daughters which have not known man. Let me, I pray you, bring them out unto you, and do ye to them as is good in your eyes. Only unto these men do nothing. For therefore came under the shadow of my roof. And they said, Stand back. And they said again, This fellow came unto sojourn, and he will needs be a judge. Now we will deal worse with thee than with them. And they pressed sore, or hard, upon the men, even Lot, and came near to break the door. But the men poured forth their hand, and pulled Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. And they smote the men that were at the door of the house with blindness, both small and great, and that they wearied themselves to find the door. And the men said unto Lot, Hast thou there any besides, son-in-law, and thy sons, and thy daughters, and whoever thou hast in the city, bring them out of this place. Basically, that means basically flee. For we will destroy this place, because the cry of them is waxed before great before the face of the Lord, and the Lord hath sent us to destroy it. And Lot went out and spake unto his sons-in-laws, and married his daughters, and said, Up, get you out of this place, for the Lord will destroy the city. But he seemed as one that mocked unto his son-in-law. And when the morning arose, and the angels hastened Lot, saying, Arise, take thy wife and thy 2 daughters, which are here, lest thou be consumed in the inquiry of the city. And while he lingered, the men laid hold upon his hand, and upon the hand of his wife, and upon the hand of his 2 daughters, and the Lord being merciful unto him. And they brought him forth and set him without the city. Basically, put him outside the city. And it came to pass, when they had brought them forth abroad, and he said, Escape from thy life, look not behind thee, neither stay shall in all the plain, escape to the mountain, lest thou be consumed. And Lot said unto them, Oh, not so, my lord. Behold now, thy servant hath found grace in thy sight, and thou hast magnified thy mercy, which thou hast showed unto me in saving my life. And I cannot escape to the mountain, lest some evil take me, and I die. Behold now, this city is near to flee unto, and it is a little one. Oh, let me escape there. It is not a little one, and my soul shall live. And he said unto him, See, I have accepted thee concerning this thing also, that I will not overthrow this city for the which thou hast spoke. Haste thee, escape there, for I cannot do anything till thou hast come there. Therefore the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun was risen upon the earth when Lot entered into Zoar, and that basically means it was morning. And he overthrew those cities, and all the plains, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and which grew upon the ground. But his wife looked back from behind him, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham went up early into the mountain, to the place where he stood before the Lord. And he looked towards Sodom and Gomorrah, and towards all land of the plains, and beheld, and lo, the smoke of the country went as the smoke of a furnace. And it came to pass, when God destroyed the cities of the plain, that God remembered Abraham, and sent Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in the which Lot dwelt. And Lot went up unto Zoar, and dwelt in the mountain, and his 2 daughters with him. And he feared to dwell in Zoar, and he dwelt in a cave, he and his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said unto the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man in the earth to come in unto us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, and we may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night. And the firstborn went in and laid with their father. And he perceived not, and she lay down, nor when she arose. Basically, he did not know. He was not aware of his surroundings. And it came to pass that the morrow, that the firstborn said to younger, Behold, I lay yesternight with my father. Let us make him drink wine this night also, and go in there and lie with him, and they may preserve seed of our father. And they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he perceived not when she lay down, nor when she arose. Thus were both the daughters of Lot with their child by their father. And the firstborn bare a son, and called him Moab, and the same is the father of the Moabites unto this day. And the younger she also bare a son, and called his name Benami. The same is the father of the children of Ammon unto this day. Now, I want to discuss a couple of things in this chapter. I've heard some people say that it's pretty ruthless for God to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. But there are a couple of reasons for that, if you were listening carefully. The first one is they were quite wicked. Keep in mind that they were hell-bent on raping the angels. So hell-bent that they completely ignored the daughters that Lot offered. And then secondly, the second reason he destroyed it is because Lot had to flee. He was obviously in danger. They were trying to break down his doors, and they would have if the angels didn't kill all the men. And a big reason the city was destroyed. So when Lot and his daughters fled, obviously the wife didn't because she died, basically. when they fled, there would have been some to come after them, and they would have done horrible things. So, it makes sense to destroy the city to save the comparatively righteous. And this also gives a good indication of how forgiving God is, because God saw Lot as in favor, despite Lot offering his daughter in place of the angels, getting drunk, and even the daughter fooling Lot into incest to have sons, fearing that they would not be able to have sons of their own. So it's like it's a good it's a good look into human nature, as none of this has changed. There are still people who do awful things, and there's some people of God who have to still flee. We see this all the time, and it even shows that the children of God are far from perfect, and and that lesson will be very much emphasized once we get to Jesus' disciples. Well, that won't be for a while, so just remember this lesson. Alright, Genesis chapter 20. And Abraham journeyed from there towards the south country, and dwelt between Kadesh and Shur, and sojourned in Gerar, I guess. And Abraham said unto Sarah his wife, She is my sister. And Abimelech, king of Gerar, sent and took Sarah. But God came to Abimelech in a dream by night, and said to him, Behold, thou art but a dead man, for the woman which thou hast taken, she is a man's wife. But Abimelech had not come near her, and he said, Lord, wilt thou slay also a righteous nation? And said he not unto me, She is my sister, and even she herself said, He is my brother. In the integrity of my heart, and instantly of my hands have I done this. And God said unto him in a dream, Yea, I know that thou didst this in the integrity of thy heart, for I also withheld thee from sinning against me. Therefore suffered I thee not to touch her. Now therefore restore the man his wife, for he is a prophet, and he shall pray for thee, and thou shalt live. And if thou restore her not, know that thou shalt surely die, thou and all that are thine. Therefore Abimelech rose early in the morning, and called all his servants, and took all these things in their ears, and the men were sore afraid. Then Abimelech called Abraham, and said to him, What thou hast done unto us, and what have I offered thee? And thou hast brought in me and my own kingdom a great sin, and thou hast done deeds unto me that ought not be done. And Abimelech said unto Abraham, What sawest thou that thou hast done these things? And Abraham said, Because I thought, surely the fear of God is not in this place, and they will slay me for my wife's sake. And ye indeed, she is my sister, and she is the daughter of my father, and but not the daughter of my mother, and she became my wife. And it came to pass, when God caused me to wander from the father's house, that I said unto her, This is thy kindness, which thou shalt sow unto me. And every place whither we shall come, say of me, He is my brother. And Abimelech took sheep and oxen, and men servants and woman servants, and gave them unto Abraham, and restored him Sarah his wife. And Abimelech said, Behold, thy land is before thee, dwell there, is it pleasant thee? And unto Sarah he said, Behold, I have given thy brother 1,000 pieces of silver. Behold, he is to thee a covering of the eyes. Unto all that are with thee, and with all others, she was reproved. So Abraham prayed unto God, and God healed Abimelech and his wife, and his maidservants, and they bare children. For the Lord has fast closed up all the wombs of the house of Abimelech, because of Sarah Abraham's wife. And that concludes our reading today. Next video, I will continue Genesis with chapter 21. If you like these videos, please subscribe and click the notification bell down below to get notified when I post these videos. Thank you for watching. Goodbye, and God bless.